In today's Breakfast Bible Bites, we will continue looking into the resurrection, part 7, reviewing the assertion that maybe Jesus wasn't really dead. Forced to carry the instrument of his death, the cross, Jesus fainted along the way, most probably from a loss of blood and sheer exhaustion. After they had nailed him to the cross, the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice, according to Matthew 27:35. Our Lord was nailed to the cross through both his hands and feet, according to John 20:20. The nails the Romans used to spike a human to the cross were not the 10-penny finishing nails that we know today. After hanging from the nails in his hands and having to push against the nails with his feet for each breath for a long 6 hours, and then to have the callous soldiers lay the cross down and pull the nails out of his body so he could be removed by Joseph. I doubt if they were even close to being gentle in doing this. What kind of trauma was done to his flesh? It is not possible with a natural recovery, as some teach, that he would have been able to push aside the heavy stone that blocked the entrance and walk out of the tomb in a few months, let alone a few days. John in 19:33-34, but when they came to Jesus, they saw that he was dead already, so that he didn't break his legs. One of the soldiers, however, pierced his side with a spear, and blood and water flowed out. When the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, blood and water flowed out. You know, God does not waste words. This was done for our benefit, so there could be no question 2,000 years later whether Jesus really died on the cross. To quote Hank Hanegraaff, in the third day, first century man John would not have likely known what 20th century science only recently discovered, namely that blood and water flowed from the side of Jesus due to the fact that the heart is surrounded by a sac of water called the pericardium. The water came from Christ's pierced pericardium. The blood came from his pierced heart. In review, we have a man whose body suffered the most excruciating pain able to be inflicted on a human being. In fact, the very word excruciating was invented to describe crucifixion, death by pain. This man had a spear wound penetrating his side all the way into his heart, holes in his hands and feet coupled with a lacerated back. Yet some still believe that he had only swooned, and in just a few days, due to the coolness of the tomb, he recovered enough to push away the large stone that covered the entrance and hobbled out of the tomb past the Roman guard. Stop and think. Which takes more faith to believe? Rapid healing and restoration, or the resurrection, that God raised him from the dead and gave him a translated immortal body? There can be no doubt. Jesus was mortally wounded at Calvary. We'll continue tomorrow.